This episode's brought to you by the Public Domain Shop, a clothing brand inspired by classic literature and film. Use the code WOLFF to get 10% off your next sweatshirt purchase. Ne Zha 2, the first animated film to ever make $2 billion, becoming the highest-grossing animated film ever, and even the highest-grossing foreign film of all time. You'd think an animation fan like me would be first in line when this came out in February, but real-life issues kept me from checking out even the original. But thanks to A24, its success warranted an English dub on IMAX in 3D that gave me the opportunity to check out both films, and having seen the first one a couple days ago and finding it fine? Not bad, but nothing special. I obviously went into this one hoping it would be bigger and better, but still didn't really know what to expect. And holy shit, did this blow my expectations far and away. Ne Zha 2 is the avatar of animation where your enjoyment relies solely on it being style over substance. Judging this on a script and character level, it's a hot mess. Yes, the stakes are always high, character arcs of overcoming prejudice or seeking redemption for past sins are there, but the overabundance of side characters, copious amounts of exposition, to compensate at the expense of Ne Zha and Ao Bing being side characters in their own film, and excessive, jarring, gross-out jokes that even Adam Sandler wouldn't, actually maybe he would, made even the first film a chore to finish, and once in a while, it's no exception here, but purely on a technical level, this is one of the best animated movies I've ever seen. Both films took 5 years each to produce. 1,600 animators for the first film, but the sequel? 4,000 across 138 animation companies. And having seen this on IMAX in 3D, it is fucking amazing. Everything from the character designs and backgrounds have so much more detail where elements like water, smoke, and ash, entire landscapes, and even flower petals floating in the frame were damn near photorealistic. The color scheme was beautifully vibrant, even in the darker, murky settings. This glowing orange or purple hue lent to the atmosphere, and the action scenes? Holy shit, the action scenes were worth the price of admission alone. Whether it's something small scale like Ne Zha fighting a demonic marmot army, or this really cool duel where they're fighting on bamboo branches next to a waterfall that starts off small but gradually becomes more destructive. The fight choreography is energetic as hell, and the camera work does a great job of moving alongside the characters as they go from one spot to another, even doing multiple slow-mo inserts without it ever getting repetitive. If anything, this is how Zack Snyder should do slow motion. And that's just the one-on-one fights. The battle sequences at the beginning and ending, which, I gotta say, the last hour of this film was the climax, and wow, for the cinematography, insane sound design, and epic musical score, it's the size of something like Dune Part 2 or Return of the King, where there are hordes of armies full of dragons, demons with shark heads, or crustaceans, and in these massive, epic wide shots, they're all the size of ants, even as these armies are charging towards each other and they do their fucking battle cries. There's lava, brimstone, soldiers flying all over the place, this giant ocean wall right out of World's End made me tense up like hell, pump my fists in the theater, and even mouth, holy shit, come on, yeah, whenever there was a fight. The climax of this was Dune 2 or Return of the King in animation, and I fucking loved it. This is one of the best battle sequences, one of the best climaxes, one of the best endings of an animated film I will ever see in a theater. I can't sell this enough. If you go see this in theaters, see it on IMAX, even see it in 3D if you get the chance. I can't say it ever felt like it leaped off the screen, but at the same time, the fact that I was wearing 2 pairs of glasses for 2.5 hours and it never stung my eyes, never got a migraine, which, how often can you say that with this shit? But every image felt more tangible than your average 3D conversion, mainly because I don't think this was converted. This was probably animated to be in 3D, and the effort really goes to show. So you may have noticed by now, this far into the review, that I haven't even talked about the plot for this, and I will say, the overall story's simple enough to follow. It takes place directly after the first film where, after their deaths, Ne Zha is given a new body but has to share it with Ao Bing's spirit, and they're given a week to complete 3 trials for Ne Zha to become immortal and win a potion that can restore Ao Bing's body and bring peace between warring factions. But of course, there are gods and demons out to sabotage their mission, to annihilate one another, and that's where things get needlessly complicated. Now, I'll admit, there actually is a lot more character development that vastly improves upon the characters from the first film, especially the original villains. Master Shen and Ao Guang are shown to have a more sympathetic side where their motives in the first film being so basic and cookie-cutter that they were pretty forgettable, are actually reframed to show they're legitimately trying to do what's best for each of their tribes, especially their families, and are willing to do anything to the point where they'd actually make deals with their enemies and stay true to their word. But probably the biggest surprise was As much as these two have twisted events around to make Ne Zha look like the villain to the world, it turns out they've actually been deceived in an equal fashion that not only forces them to see the irony in their actions and, upon showing genuine remorse, would do anything to show repentance, but it makes the villains in this one much more despicable and fun to hate, especially this lady dragon with a deliciously evil voice who's great at manipulating people but still has a leash in regards to who she can serve. Speaking of voices, I gotta give the English cast credit for taking a script where most of their dialogue is exposition and almost always delivered in a cheesy, over-the-top fashion, but since most of the cast are veteran animation and anime voice actors who are used to giving these kinds of performances, by this point in their career, they fully embrace the over-the-top nature and know how to make it sound genuine to the point where I stopped looking at the mouths and just listen. Michelle Yeoh is total stunt casting considering she's the only celebrity and her character's barely in the film, but she gives it her all as always. Crystal Lee has a difficult job as Ne Zha, having to play a loud, short-tempered, and arrogant, but still vulnerable and sympathetic little boy, but she finds the right balance. Alex Lee is perfectly soft-spoken and humble as Ao Bing and has legitimately good chemistry with Ne Zha. The few moments their friendship is the focus of the story. Not often enough in my opinion, but we'll get to that. And of all the side actors, Christopher Swindle gives this deep, intimidating, but wise presence to Ao Guang that makes you fear and respect him all at once. That being said, it really is the actors that make these characters worth rooting for, especially if you're like me and had trouble keeping track of everyone that's not Ne Zha and his family or Ao Bing and his family. There's apparently 3 times the characters the first film had, and honestly, there's so much screen time spent on dropping a title card and a monologue over who each person is, what's their backstory, and why we're with or against them. Yet the more they spoon-feed who everyone is, from the characters we already know to the gods who are testing Ne Zha's abilities, their assistants who play into the climax, the other dragons scheming against their master, Master Shen and his family members, the various video game bosses Ne Zha has to fight to prove himself, among many, many others, the more, ironically, I kept forgetting who was who. Because there's more time spent explaining than actually showing who they are as people, and yes, I'm a Canadian unfamiliar with the folklore of the original novel, but let's put it this way. There are so many things going on that I kept forgetting Ao Bing was a character, which is kind of important. He's a much more sympathetic character than Ne Zha, if I'm being completely honest. He's more selfless and humble, and has a lot more to lose in this. Bottom line, this movie did not do a good job at clarifying everything. Maybe if there was less time spent on desperate comedy, that might have been even grosser and less appropriate than the first film. And when I say appropriate, I mean in regards to placing it in terms of timing of the script, where in the middle of a fight to prove himself, Ne Zha has to swallow his own vomit in order to... I can't even finish the sentence, that was so stupid. Or when they find the destruction of a village, you see charred remains of people. People actually bleed to death in this. And then in the very next scene, a rock demon is arguing with her magic mirror over who's the fairest in the land. Yeah, they seriously pull that shit. There's so much pathetic Marvel quality humor in it that, while I wasn't annoyed, and I'll admit, the jokes that worked were better than the first one, it still grinded everything to a halt. And at the end of the day, I'm still not sure how to recommend Ne Zha 2 to people, because being an animation fan, I kind of felt obligated to check this one out, and it is very much a style over substance film, but in regards to the technical achievements of the animation, the cinematography, musical score, sound design, epic, fucking epic battle sequences that I am never gonna forget seeing in a theater, it was an experience. If you're an animation fan or you just want to see some insane anime-level action sequences, because this is not an anime, regardless of its substance, I highly recommend checking this out on the biggest screen you can find, because I may go for a round 2 of this. And with that, guys, thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Ne Zha 2. Be sure to like and subscribe, check me out on Patreon and buy me a coffee, and I'll see you all in the next review. Take care.